Hi guys, welcome to my 19-week vlog. I am back. I read all your amazing messages and can you hear that? Do you see that out the window? I mean, all that ruckus is the LA wind. It's like crazy windy right now. And so my windows are literally shaking from the wind. And out the front there's just chairs blowing around. We had the slip and slide set up and it's just blown over the fence. I have to get that tomorrow. Anyway, so yes, I'm back and I loved all your comments and they were so beautiful about my vlogs and so I decided that I would continue doing them once a month and just do a little update, a video update and a little blog post too. So a lot has happened since the last update. The last one was when he was 12 weeks. Life is great. It feels really different from back then, I think, because he just feels like a big baby now. He's not a newborn. He's moved out of his newbornness and he's very much just a big guy. I understand his personality and he's really chunky and just loves playing and I find him very predictable. I feel like I really know him now and and he was pretty easy to read from the start, but now I really think I just get him. I know that he likes to be awake for about 1.5 to 2 hours, then he likes to have a breastfeed and then he'll go to sleep for about an hour. He likes to get up, play for about half an hour. I mean, it's crazy. I seriously think the house is gonna fall down sometimes. I'm like, I've got a house on stilts, and it feels like the house, you can hear it creaking, it feels like the house is shaking. That's Coda, by the way. Hi, Coda. Wanna say hi? Wanna say hi? Anyway, so it's been great because I really feel like I know Forrest so well and it makes it so much easier because I can just read his cues. I know he's very simple. He likes to play. He loves to play on his little mat with some toys on his belly, and then he'll cry and he does this really funny cry. He goes it sounds like a little machine gun when he cries and it's almost like a cough. But it's his style, and he tells me when he needs to breastfeed and when he wants to go to sleep, and he's really easy to get to sleep too. You just kind of bounce him, and I have a very specific way of bouncing him. You just learn from your baby. You just know what he or she likes, and have this very kind of like fast way of bouncing him. And then I kind of dip him down, and I go shh, 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 and I can just rock him down like that, and that gets him to sleep pretty quickly. We've done a lot of travel back and forth. We have been in Australia, and that was really great. I went there for some Berlin Syndrome press, and then also shoot the cover of Vogue, which just came out, and you guys just saw it. And that was really, such a surreal experience for me, and just extra special that I got to share that with my sons, and I know that it's something that we're all going to be able to look back on one day and realize how special that is, that we can have that kind of opportunity to be on the cover of a magazine together, and that the magazine is Vogue. It's definitely a pinch me, I'm dreaming moment. So yeah, I thought I would do these things called Mama Thoughts, where it's just thoughts, random thoughts that I have about parenting, about kind of life, and right now, kind of what I'm sitting in is just the importance of gratitude and really slowing down and being grateful for the moments and being grateful for all that you learn through parenting. I mean, it can really give you so many wonderful gifts. I mean, obviously just being able to love on someone the way we get to love our children and receive that love back from them is just it's a beautifully rewarding thing. But then also the gifts that we get in the messiness of it is really special too. And I think my favourite thing is how imperfect it is. I love that. I love that about it because it keeps it very, very real. And I think social media, sometimes we can interpret people that we follow, their photos and their journeys and these different families in a certain way. I mean, it's very easy for us to interpret them as mamas who just have it all together. Everything's perfect. Everything looks shiny and they just seem to be figuring it out. But what I love is just realizing that everyone has struggle. Everyone navigates through different things as a parent, and it's important to remember that everyone has their own personal journey and to not cast to judge ourselves and to judge others, and to really not be in a state of comparison, and just understand that it's in our mind, right? So what we see is we look at an image and then we create a story ourselves based on what we see in an image. And it's funny because depending on your mood, the story can look very different. You might see a photo and be like, oh, that's amazing. What a blissed out mother. She looks so happy. And then on another day, you can interpret a photo as, oh, that mother looks really frazzled and she gets it. I mean, she's having a rough day the same way I am. And it's just funny because it's really, our reality becomes what we choose it to be. So I think we can cause ourselves a lot of suffering because it's stories that we are creating constantly. And I have been thinking about that a lot. And I've done a lot of work to try not to ever be in a state of comparison, and just to be very present in my own experience and to allow that to be what it is. And I think it's really important, but what's quite healing is just recognizing our patterns of looking at other families and saying, oh, I wish I had that, or I wish my child acted that way, or how come they're so good with communication, or why is that child more gifted in this area than mine? And it all is just sitting in pain body, really. And I think what I've been trying to do is just observing my thoughts and where they go to and what their tendencies are, and just reminding myself to come back to a place of just being with my family, and being content with our experiences and what kinds of parents we are, and just growing ourselves and trying to maintain a healthy perspective, and also I think letting ourselves off the hook as mothers is a very important part of being a parent. We're not always going to get it right. And what is right? I mean, really, what is right? Who writes the rule book on parenting? Parenting, I think, is an art form in many ways. It's our own way of doing things, and every day we might discover something more and we'll lean into that way of being, and then another week something else feels right and we go down that path, and then another week it feels chaotic and busy and crazy and all over the place, but we survived, and then that's a beautiful achievement. And I just think giving ourselves a warm, loving embrace and saying, you go get him, mama. You are doing one of the most important jobs in the world, and that's raising children. And I love really thinking about that when I'm having a hard day. Today at the park, Bodhi fell over and he kind of, he got like a gravel burn. And it was so dramatic. And the blood and the screaming. And then, you know, I was trying to help him. I was washing the wound and I was trying to apply some pawpaw, and then he didn't want me to apply the pawpaw. So he's screaming at me in front of everyone. And then, so I didn't put the pawpaw on. I said, oh, you know, the air will dry it out. And do you want to keep playing? And then he looked at me with rage and just yelled at me. The biggest no ever. And he's like, I want my baby to go away. And just start bawling his eyes out. And, you know, I had a park full of parents staring at me, and it was just one of those funny moments where my son was having such big feelings, and nothing I could do could calm him or comfort him in that moment. And I just had to hold him and cop the yelling. And so we decided to go back home and leave. And, you know, I think previously, if I wasn't in the frame of mind I'm in now, I would have probably been very rattled by that experience. But it was just a moment where, you know, I couldn't laugh audibly because that would only make Bodhi feel worse. But it was just a moment where I was like, oh yeah, this is parenting. It's the one time I didn't bring the Band-Aids out, and he's mad at me about not having the Band-Aids. So we need to go home and we're going to fix the boo-boo. And sure enough, we get home and we jump into the bath and we have an amazing evening. God, you hear that? That's mental. Look at my blind smashing against the window there. But yeah, you just let yourself off the hook. And I like the adventure and I like the chaos. And it is what it is, and we try our best every day, and we learn new things every day. And you know, we have a retreat coming up for our preschool, and I know Bodhi's not going to sleep as well, and I know he's going to be running around like a maniac, and he's probably not going to nap, and he's probably not going to want to eat the food we bring him, and there may be some tantrums, and that's okay, and that's life, and that's a part of it, and he's only going to be this little once. So that's been a beautiful thing to think about. And also just loving on my big cherub baby and just seeing how much he's growing. It just constantly reminds me about how precious this time is when they're little, and when we get to take responsibility and just be with them and teach them and watch them grow. And it's just a magical time. So in those hard moments, that's what I lean into. And they're my mama thoughts for this week. I hope my house doesn't fall down. That would be a big challenge. And yeah, it's crazy windy, and I think Isaac's asleep now. Isaac, are you still awake? No, he's fallen asleep. And now it's my turn to go into bed now. All right, guys, thank you again for the beautiful comments. I read all of them. I really do. I read all of them. And I'm proud of you all, and I love watching your journeys. And I Insta-stalk you guys too. And I just want to send you love, and I will see you in 1 month. All right, bye.